Hey, it's Randy from UC Status. Today I'm going to show you a quick video on some of the new things that are in the latest update for Microsoft Teams Rooms on Windows. It's what Microsoft are calling 4.15. There is actually a specific version that is available right now to download and manual update. It is starting to roll out to general now as well. So if you leave your room systems on, it should just automatically update, assuming you've got that set. But for right now, I've actually manually updated mine. It's 4.15.58. Just show you the version number. If I go into settings, and you can see I've got 4.15.58 there. So really nothing in here has changed. You get the account, meetings, you can enable third party as normal, leave meetings automatically. All that's exactly the way it was. You can see in peripherals, mine is actually a Logitech solution. It's a Logitech Tap, using the Meetup as the camera, as the default camera rather. If I had a second camera there, it would show there. I've also got a Scribe, which is the whiteboarding solution, plugged in as well. And I can set default volumes and everything else. So I'm just going to exit without saving. So actually, if I just look around the main display, you can see really nothing's different there. You've got the ability to meet. Meet actually just starts a meet now. Call brings up, if I just bring up that brings up a number pad, because I've got the operator connect number assigned to this user. So I've got the number pad there. And if I want to search for a user, I'm just using a mouse and keyboard to kind of interact with this. But if I then click into type a name or number, it actually brings up the virtual keyboard. So I can then, sort of search, and it will find, Randy, etc. So that is actually to place either a PSTN call, if you've got PSTN dialing enabled for this, or audio conferencing, or it's to search for a user. Share obviously just brings up the HDMI. You can see I've got no HDMI plugged in, but that's to do that. In here, it gets a little bit more exciting. You got the join with an ID. This has been around for not very long, actually. But actually, if I go into join with an ID, you can see I've got join with a meeting ID, and I've also got meeting provider. So you may not have this. This is actually rolling out. It's in the roadmap already. But here, if I just do that, I can actually choose between Teams or Zoom as the provider. So the form doesn't change at all. It still wants a meeting ID and passcode. So if I change it to Zoom, if I pop in a Zoom meeting ID and a Zoom passcode and then press join meeting, it will actually automatically just join that Zoom meeting, just using direct guest join, like you would if you were, if you'd invited the room to a Zoom meeting. But where it also gets really exciting is if I start a meet now. So I'm just going to start a meet now just by pressing the meet. So you can see I've just started a meeting. I'm going to invite somebody to get rid of this invite people screen on the right. Let's press Luke. So Luke Skywalker's on a video phone next to me. So now I'm in a meeting, a one-to-one meeting. I've actually just started a meet now. I've called a user. So over here, I've got Cortana. I've actually disabled the wake word because every time someone else or myself actually said Cortana in a meeting, it would actually start to hop up and say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't answer that question. But here you can actually get at that push to talk. Obviously, I've got the shield there for end-to-end encryption if I were to enable that. What they've also done is taken the reactions thing and put it in its own thing, so I don't have to kind of go into the three dots. So if I go there, I can put a smiley face on it or a thumbs up or what have you. Obviously, I can get the volume. I can turn on and off video. If I had a second webcam installed, it brings up a form that enables me to switch between front and back cameras or side-to-side cameras or whichever. Obviously, I've got it muted now, and of course, I've got the audio settings where I can actually tune the noise suppression to my liking. There's two things that it starts to get really exciting. So this is something that was in the roadmap to be delivered for December, and technically they kind of did. There was a version of 4.15 that came out just before Christmas. So if I bring up the share tray, what you'll notice is I've got three options. I've got the ability to just start the sharing from an HDMI cable. So if I've got an HDMI connected laptop, I can present the laptop screen there. Over here, I told you I've got a Logitech Scribe content camera installed, so now I can actually directly start the content camera, which I've got another video on. But here, I've actually got the ability to start and share a whiteboard. So I'm just going to do that. Bring up share. You can see over here on the content screen, it will bring up the Microsoft Whiteboard. And there you go. So now I've got the ability to choose a pen. Over here, I can choose whether I want enhanced inked shapes or anything like that. I can add a background and that sort of thing. I'm just going to toggle that off. You can see, so I can just press and type in hi, etc. I can choose different pens and even bring up a ruler and all that sort of thing, so I can draw a straight line, etc. There you go. So I've actually got the ability to start a whiteboard session directly in this meeting. Now, if I were to exit this meeting, that whiteboard is actually just saved in the meeting chat between Luke Skywalker and, in this case, Dagobah, the room system. So that's not the only thing I've now got as a new thing in this version. So I'm actually going to leave the content on, but over here I've got the layouts button. So this is changing your view. So now I've got the ability to change between different layouts. By default, it's in gallery, but also then I've got content plus people. So the whiteboard in this case is the content, and the people are kind of down the right-hand side. I've got the ability to switch into content only. So if I don't want to see the far end, in this case, Luke Skywalker wasn't presenting video anyway, so therefore it doesn't really make sense to show video and actually use the entire stage for content anyway. I've got people only, so if Luke Skywalker were to turn on his video, and of course I've got the ability to switch into front row, so I'm just going to do that very quickly. So front row is going to bring up that whiteboard, give you the meeting chat there, and of course move the gallery down to the bottom there. So I'm just going to come out and go back into gallery. So now what I can do is actually, you can see I've got chat. So in all of these different layout modes, gallery, large gallery, and together mode, which I don't have enough people to make together mode any good. Large gallery obviously only really kicks in when you've got anything larger than 9 or 3x3. But I've also got this chat button. So now I can bring up the actual meeting chat. So what I've done is I've brought up the actual chat pane. So it's similar to the front row layout where you got the chat pane on the right, but the gallery stays in the same place that it was. Now, if I bring up the share tray and start the whiteboard, you can see that the gallery kind of stays on the bottom. It's a little bit like front row, but it's not front row. See, it's not in front row. It's in content plus people. Still in the standard gallery, but you can see I've got the chat button actually ticked there to actually show the chat. So you can see Luke Skywalker actually has the ability to chat in this meeting, and you can see the reply there that came there. I can't actually reply to this using the room system itself. Maybe that's a little bit annoying, but I don't think it's that much of a big deal. But at least it gives me the ability in the meeting room to actually see what's going on in the chat. Obviously, a lot of times when you're in a meeting, there's a lot of conversation actually happening in the chat. And now you don't just have to enable front row to see that. You can just bring up chat in any layout that you want. So I think that's a great addition to this. So I'm just going to go back to the whiteboard here. So that's it. Those are the new differences in the 4.15 version of Microsoft Teams Rooms on Windows. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.